Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning in today to Izzy the Tech Guy. Today we will be on lesson number 8, where we will be discussing the count, average, and sum function in SQL. Again, we're going to continue how we've been doing in the past. If you haven't seen prior videos and you need a refresher, definitely go back and review. We'll be using w3school to do all of our tutorials and to work out some problems. So today, just a outline of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover the count, average, and sum function, and then we have 4 checkpoints that we're going to address today, and that should be fun and see how this goes. So with that being said, let's go ahead and switch over to w3school.com, and then we're going to go to tutorials, learn SQL, and then from there we'll scroll down excuse me, till we see count, average, and sum. So let's go ahead and discuss count, average, and sum. So count, average, and sum is exactly what they say. The count function, if you want to count a particular row or a particular item, you go ahead and use the count function. So basically what w3school says is the count function returns a number of rows that match a specific criteria. So again, here's a syntax. You use your count, almost like last week we covered min and max. So it's the same way, same syntax you use, but this time use the keyword count, your parentheses, and the column name and the table, and if you have a where condition, you include it. And you can do this without a where condition, but if you do have a where condition, you include it. Now let's discuss the average function. Basically, like the name says, the average function returns the average value of a numeric column. So if you want to get the average age for students in 3rd grade at whatever school, you do the average. So that's how you basically, like I said, what the name says, and the syntax is the same as count, min, max. And again, like last week we did do that, I believe. You can use these not only in the select portion, but you can use them in the where statements. It wouldn't be, you wouldn't use where, you'd use having. Okay, sum, same thing here. So if you want to sum up a specific column, you use a sum statement. So you have the average, the sum, and the count. Count, you're just counting. Sum, you're adding things up. And I'll show you the difference between, if you do get sum and count confused, I'll show you the difference today. So let's look at our demo table that w3school is providing today. Below is a selection from the products table in the Northwind sample database. Okay, so we have product ID, product names. So I can see we can do a sum on this, we can do an average on this, we can do a count on the products, how many products you have, you can count that. And one thing I'm going to show you as well today is how to do a distinct count. So let's go ahead and scroll down here and look at the example. The following SQL statement find the number of products. So let's do the try it yourself. So here, so select count product ID from products table. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, so 77 product IDs. Now, is this unique? Like, let's say for instance, for whatever reason, we have 20 product ID 10 and product ID 10 again. To figure that out, we would do distinct product ID. And let's run that. Yep. So 77 unique products are in this table. And the way we figure that out is by throwing in the distinct keyword. So let's use a trick we learned last week. We'll alias this column as count. And let's run it again. Okay, so pretty beautiful. So what we did is we went ahead and alias, instead of having all this show up, we used alias product ID count. Okay, and I'll try to use this, as we learn things, trying to implement them in new lessons so we don't forget how to use them. So that's the first try it yourself. So we see how many unique product IDs we have. So let's go back here. Okay, it gives an example of using the average. So let's try this ourselves. So select average price. So we run this. So the average price for our products is $28. And let's use our alias. spell everything correctly, and then I'm gonna do a little recap of last week. Max price as so highest product price, and then let's do min price as, and we're using our alias. I'm gonna say lowest product, and you can use whatever alias you want, whichever one that will help you remember. So let's run this, and so we should have the average cost, the maximum cost, and the minimum cost. So run this. So average product price $28, highest product price $263, lowest product price is $2.50. Here I go again with that. Okay, so $2.50. So see, we can use average, max, min. So let's see, so we did count. Now let's do sum. So let's go to try it yourself. Let me close these out here. Oops, did I close out the wrong one? No. Perfect. Okay. So now what we're going to do is sum up the quantity. So run this SQL. So in the order details, we have a total of 12,743. And let's see what the count would say. Count. Run this. Okay, so if we see the difference here, this is just counting each instance. It's not totaling each instance. Okay, so let me, just so you can see what the table looks like. Let's see if this will work. Yep, it'll work. So what I did there, I just put a comment. So the select statement should ignore those two. So let me just so we can see what quantity looks like, because I don't recall exactly. So let's run this. Okay, so you see, we can tell a difference. So what the sum did is did 12 plus 10 plus 5, and what the count does is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes on, it counts. So that's just to show you the main difference between sum of quantity and count of quantity. And so if you want to do like, oh, you see quantity, oh, it's a number field, let me count. If I do 12 plus 10 plus 5, I can do count on that. No, you're just counting. Just think of counting as you're counting how many times something occurs, not totaling it. Okay, so we did sum, we did average, and we did count. And now what I'm gonna do is answer some of these questions that we have here. So our first question is, how many values does our inventory have? So basically we want to get the total dollar amount for our inventory. So let's go to try it yourself. Inventory. So would that be products? Yes. So from the products table, let's do sum of the price. And since what did in this document, let me see here. So I'll go ahead and alias this as inventory dollar amount. And let's say total inventory. Oops. Let's rerun this. So our total inventory is $2,222.71. Okay, so what can we do here? So bring this star back, and I want to, well, I'll continue with the questions, but what I'm thinking of doing is I want to show you guys when to use sum, count, and average in a word clause. So what's the average price of our products? Okay, so this is going to be good. So we have product name, so we'll do product name, and this will show an example of how to use the group by statement. So I want to know the price. So at average price, AVG price and alias. Oops, wrong tab. So what's the average price of our products? And I'm gonna break it down by product. So I'm gonna give the average price of each product. And then let me see, have we done order by? We haven't done order by, so I'm not going to include order by. So this is good. So the last thing I believe I need is a group by statement. Group by product name. And the reason why I'm using group by, because we're doing an average, so we don't want it to, let's see here. So if we have multiple products, we would but we don't have multiple products, so we don't necessarily need it. But let's say, for instance, we did have multiple products. What we would do, we would group them and do the average of between. So let's say, for instance, for whatever reason, for example, one could be a 24 ounce and another one could be a 12 ounce, but it's the same product, but it's just packaged differently. What's the average price between the 24 and 12 ounce? So we would put those two together and get the average. So let's go and run the SQL. Okay, and the other function too. So does it want it? Like I said, I usually I'm able to get away with putting my group by after what I have in the select statements, but in what we're using here, this code editor we're using, it wants it after the from statement. So we have group by product. So here's the average of each product. So let's say, for instance, we don't want to know it by each product. We just want to know total. Hey, as a company, what's the average price for products? So we can take this out, and since we took that out, we don't need our group by. Delete that. Run this query. So the average price is about $28, as we saw before. So we have our answer here. We answered it two ways. We answered it by product. What's the average price by product? And we have answered what's the average price for everything we have. Okay, so here, how many customers do we have? So how many customers do we have? So to do that, we have to go to the customer table. And here, since we're in the customers table, what we're saying is how many. So what you want to do is a count. There's two ways you can do it. Let me show this way and I'll explain it to you. So the first is count asterisk from customers. So we have a total of 91 customers. Now, when I do asterisk, I'm just basically what this is doing is counting every single row in there. That's what the asterisk is doing, and you can do that. You can do it on asterisk, and you can do it on a actual column name. And here we can use the distinct. Should we use distinct with column name, but I'll use it this way. Okay, so this doesn't like it with the asterisk, so I'm going to use a column name. Let's see what column we have. Let's do distinct on customer ID. Oops, no mind. Okay, so let's do it like this. 91 again. Okay, perfect. Now let's see. Let's say, for instance, we want to see how many. Well, let's finish it and see if this is. Okay, let me just jump in real quick. I'm going to deviate off the outline real quick. Let's say, for instance, we want to see how many customers, how many employees we have. Was it employees or customers? Now I'm getting myself confused. Customers. Let's say, for instance, we want to see how many customers are in Germany. So we can do, again, since we know this has unique values in here, we can do count star. We don't have to label it because we already know. Again, knowing your data will help in this because we already know that this table contains one instance of each customer. If we have more than one customer, then we want to use the distinct and find a unique value in this table. as close as we can. Or if we didn't find a unique value, since we have customer ID, we can do a distinct count on customer ID. And if we have two customers that have ID 1, it will be counted once. So we're going to say where country equals, I don't remember what I said, but I'm going to say Mexico. So we want to see how many customers we have in Mexico. 5. And then you can alias as much as you want. I can do it all in one row right here as if I can spell. So watch this. I can do it. I can make it nice and pretty, or I can just do it real messy right here. I can even make it even messier right here. So it's like in a single line. Run this. Number of customers 5. I can also add. Let me show you this little trick. Let's say we're presenting this report to someone. We can. And from now I'm gonna run this, and you're gonna see the error I get. Oh, I guess it worked fine. But what I was gonna show you is how the group by to use it here. But this worked fine, so we didn't have to use a group by. But hey, let's see. What I did here is I labeled this the country. What's the country? Mexico. Number of customers 5. I believe. Let me take this out. Let's say I want to see how many customers we have in each country. Take this out. Run. So count, select count country. See, now we just get Germany. Now let's throw the group by in here. Let me see. Group by. My mistake today, guys. Group by country. And watch this. So now this is what we want to see. We get an entire list of customers in each by country. So Argentina 3, so on. So we see France, Germany. Let's say, for instance, we want to display. I'm going to throw another. This is a perfect time I can show you where you. So let's say we want to see countries that have. We want to get a total number of customers from each country where the count is over 5. Greater than 5, we said. Let's run this. So here we go. Brazil, France, Germany, UK, US. Let's say, for instance, we're going to go lower than 5. We run that. Argentina, Austria, Belgium, and it goes on. And let me make this nice and pretty so we can see what I did here. So here's our select statements. And then here's our from clause. And then the group by. And your text editor might be different, where you can put the group by after count, because I know I'm able to do that when I'm using Teradata. But here they want it after the from, so we follow what they want. So here, so let's go through. So we have country, we have the count of number of customers, we have where we want it from is the from table, and we're grouping by country because we're counting based off of that. We have it in our statement here having counts greater than or less than 5. So that's an example. And if you want to, if we're using max, we could switch it around, the count instead of the count being max. So let's go back. Last one. How many employees do we have? Simple. Again, same way. So run the SQL. Basically 10 employees. So let's do count, and we should expect the count to be 10. So count. Run it. 10, because we know that table has unique. Which table is this? Unique employees. So that's how you use a count. The count, the average, and the sum. Again, like we can get real creative with it and just do more things with it. You can, like I said, you can use it in your where clause, which instead of saying where, you just use having. So let's go down here, and we're going to do some of the exercise. So let's get started here. Okay, so use the correct function to return the number of records that have the price value set to 18. Select from product having. They want us to use where. Okay. Interesting. Okay, where price equals 8. Okay. And then count, I believe. So let's break this down. Use the correct function to return the number of records. So it's not asking for the sum of price, it's asking for the number of records. So we'll use count from products where price equals this. So this is going to shows how many products do we have. Basically the same thing we did with country. So how many products do we have where the price is 18? And so we got that right. Next. Use the SQL function to calculate the average price of all products. So we remember AVG, and then the keyword they gave us is price. And this should be the right answer, correct? Next exercise, or is that the last one? Yep, one more. Okay, use a SQL function to calculate the sum of all the price column values. So this is where again, they gave us the keyword sum. So we'll do sum, and they gave us another keyword, price column. Now in the real world, will it be super nice? Maybe if you're working with someone that has more tenure than you, they'll be able to tell you the column. But in the real world, they're like, hey, what's the total? What's this? What's that? And you have to understand, again, key thing is to understand your data, what you have in there. And that's correct. Understand what you have in your data, and go looking at these tables to understand, okay, how do I get the answer from this? So my recommendation is, if you have a data set that you're working with, understand it, go through it, and make sure you understand like what's in there, what's not in there, so you can interpret the ask to what's in the table. That's the biggest. Once when you learn the syntax, everything else is super easy. I'll say the biggest issue, well, let me restate that. The syntax is fairly easy, especially when you're not dealing with dates. Dates, I dislike dates. But if you're dealing with anything else, the syntax is simple. It's just being able to translate the request is the part that I would say you could struggle the most with. But don't be worried too much. SQL is a very easy language that you can learn. It's very straightforward when you break it down. So hopefully these tutorials are helping you guys. And again, please like, comment, subscribe. If there's something you want to see us go over, put a comment in, and I'll be glad to go over it in more details. So hopefully everybody enjoyed today's lesson, and you guys have a good day. Bye bye.